You heard? Like, let's keep it a buck crazy that these kids love me. They don't really know who Nas is. If he's 22, he's born in 03.
Not all of them, some of them though.
You know what I mean?
A lot
Like,
of them though.
this record, The Barbecue, came out when I was in 11th grade. So Nas was my idol when I was young. Like, you dig? It came to dressing, the wordplay, the music, everything. I was a superior Nas fan. Period. I'd never take that away from him. But then, as I got in the game, you got to realize that your rivals would be idols, and not to take anything away from that. I developed my own style and my own lane that these kids start to gravitate towards the same way I gravitated towards Nas when I was younger and things like that. It's a whole different generation.
He chose the wrong legends to go after Nas and Pusha T. Too. Certified icons, and he went at both of them like he had nothing left to lose. Now, his entire music career is hanging by a thread, and just like that, the culture turned its back on him. He said Nas was never that impactful, called Pusha T overrated, even claimed he was the one who made Nas go viral again. That moment, that was the turning point. The second he said it, people knew he'd crossed the line he couldn't come back from, because what came next didn't feel like regular rap beef. It felt like the industry had made up its mind and was ready to shut him out for good. Something deeper was happening behind the scenes. You could feel it. So now the real question is, was this just another ego-fueled rant gone too far? Or is the very culture he helped build now pushing him out right in front of our eyes? Bad quote. Still spreading like wildfire. His summer jam set canceled. And he's not letting this go. Let's rewind for a second and break down what really sparked this slow-motion takedown, because it all started with one comment, and it sent Jim's career into a nosedive. This wasn't just some slick line or a casual diss. This was an attempt to erase Nas from the map entirely. Jim wasn't critiquing Nas's recent music. He was coming for the legacy, one of hip-hop's most respected, game-changing artists, and Jim tried to write him off completely. And he didn't do it on some small-time podcast either. He dropped this bomb on the Joe and Jada show, known for its relaxed, unfiltered vibe. Not for career-ending controversies. But Jim, he didn't hold back. In fact, he doubled down. With full confidence, he said Nas never really meant much to the culture, and even claimed his own Billboard numbers could go toe-to-toe with Nas.
Yeah, Jimmy boy, you should have never brought this up. Y'all are only 3 years apart, and Nas is just like murdering you. You asked us to look up the stats, and here they are. Like Jim Jones, like, you got a couple songs. I mean, like, literally, it's a couple. But we're talking about Nas. Let me show y'all Nas's last projects. Nas been getting it in since 2018. Jimmy, when the last time you put out an album? Or would you look at that? You have been dropping music. You really been dropping music. But nobody's heard it. Nobody's listening.
Let's get one thing straight. Nas isn't just another rapper. He's a cornerstone of hip-hop. Illmatic isn't just a classic. It's a blueprint. It's so influential. It's literally studied in college classrooms. Even veteran MCs admit that album still gives them nightmares. And with King's Disease, Nas proved he's far from done. If anything, he's only leveling up, release after release. Meanwhile, Jim's out here talking like he just dropped The Chronic. But here's the truth, this whole situation wasn't even about rap. It was ego, pure ego. Insecurity, wearing the mask of an opinion, and the wildest part, he even brought his kid into it. Seriously, what kind of example is that supposed to set? The internet didn't hold back. People went in hard. Social media lit up with side-by-side receipts, award after award, sold-out tours, decades of iconic albums, all laid out next to Jim's chart stats, and the comparison wasn't even close. All this chaos because Jim decided to rewrite history with a hot take no one asked for. Most people, after getting torched online for disrespecting a legend, might walk it back, or at least take a beat. But not Jim. He didn't just double down, he tripled down. He went on Nightcap, stared Shannon Sharp dead in the eye, and actually said, Nas never had the kind of influence people think he did. Then he dropped the wildest line of all. He claimed Nas had always been in second place. Second to who? Jay-Z? And DMX. Come on, that's not even a fair comparison. Those three weren't competing in the same lane. Nas was about poetry, spirit, and storytelling. Jay brought the business grind and luxury hustle. DMX channeled pain, rage, and raw emotion. It's like comparing Kendrick Lamar to Future, two completely different artists, different missions, different energies. So saying Nas never led the pack, that's not just an opinion. That's rewriting the whole story of hip-hop. And here's the kicker. Jim doesn't even deny he used to be a fan. He straight up admitted that back in the day. He wanted to dress like Nas, and yet now he's out here saying, I'm more influential than Nas.
I'm way more influential than Nas, and I don't care what nobody say. I know I made a little boo-boo when you talk about the sales and all this type of shit. I don't feel like getting into that rhetoric about where I started and where he started.
Well, you said that
but listen, Nas was nice when I was in high school. When I was in 10th grade, Nas came out. Nas was dope. We appreciated him. He had a little bit run. But Nas always came up second to Jay and DMX and all these other people. Like,
Ain't no shame in that. There a lot of folks came up second to Tom Brady.
He never had that type of influence on us, except for his first album.
Now he's acting like a movie from 1998 is enough reason to erase a 30-year career. Wild. And this is where the real delusion starts to show, because at this point, it stopped being about stats or opinions. Jim started speaking like he wanted Nas beneath him, like he needed Nas to be smaller, just to feel bigger himself. And he was clearly frustrated that the numbers didn't back him up. This wasn't about respect, it was about forcing his way into the same conversation as the true GOATs, but all he really did was show the world how insecure he feels about never being mentioned alongside them. And if you thought Jim might back down after all that heat, forget it. On Bag Fuel, he dropped what might be the wildest line of this whole saga. He didn't just say Nas wasn't relevant. He didn't just say Nas was always in second place. Nope. Jim went even further and actually claimed that he was the one who brought Nas back into the spotlight. Like the entire culture should be thanking him for reminding us Nas exists. That's how far he took it. And the internet, they weren't having it for a second. The reactions were swift and they were brutal.
I did for Nas, probably big, like I don't really care.
One fan said it best. The only reason you're being talked about right now is because you're making reckless comments about Nas. That's it. People are only interviewing you for the clicks. Another added, the delusional disrespect from Jim Jones toward Nas is getting out of hand. I'm sick of it. You don't earn stripes saying stuff like this. And honestly, the receipts don't lie. The math just doesn't add up. Nas has been active consistently. 3 full albums in the last 5 years. A Grammy win. Multiple sold-out tours. He's still putting in real work, and the numbers prove it. Meanwhile, Jim, he's been busy running his mouth on podcasts. He really thought he was kicking off some hot new trend, but what he actually did was start a slow-motion march toward his own career's funeral. Let's rewind for some context. Back in 2024, the Louis Vuitton Spring-Summer show in Paris was a moment. The room was packed with legends. Beyoncé, Jay-Z, Rihanna, LeBron, just about every powerful name in music and culture.
Can you sing along the 5 Pusha T records right now? His records.
Yes.
His records?
Yeah.
Name
Love
them.
Pusha, Nostalgia.
Oh, you was a Pusha T fan. I didn't know he had fans like that. Can you name 5 Pusha T records? No, his records. Pusha T. I love your soul, my dog. You're not in my top 50. You might be in Charlemagne's top 50 and things like that, but you haven't done that much for me in my life. Like, I didn't never want to be like Pusha. I never had a Pusha moment in my life. I never thought, like you dig, like where I'm from, niggas want to be like you if you was really that dude and that rapper and things like that.
Wanted to be like Pusha?
Shit.
He was influenced by Pusha?
Yeah? Okay, cool.
That's why Pusha did the Mr. Me Too record.
Okay, cool. You a very strong Pusha T fan. But what else has he bring to the game? Did he make people want to dress like him? Did he have some slang that everybody was talking like him? Did be the girls, all the girls wanted to do him? Like, what is the...
Fashion and culture were colliding in the spotlight. Cameras flashing from every angle. Pharrell was debuting his first collection as the new head of Louis Vuitton Men's. A historic moment right there on the runway. Then, out of nowhere, the beat dropped. But this wasn't just any track, it was Clips. For the first time in over a decade, Pusha T and his brother No Malice stepped out with a brand new song, and the lyrics were sharp, pointed, unmistakably direct. You could feel the entire energy shift. Even Jay-Z was nodding along, feeling the tension in the room. This wasn't just a performance, it was a declaration of war, and they didn't drop it on a mixtape or a streaming app. They premiered it in the middle of the most high-profile event of the year. The lyrics? Crystal clear. Everyone knew exactly who they were aiming at. That bar about chasing a feature out of your element. A direct shot at Jim Jones cozying up to Drake just after being named an honorary Dipset member back in Harlem. And let's not forget, that's the same Drake who Pusha humiliated with the story of a wound that, to this day, still hasn't fully healed. But this wasn't Pusha throwing out a quick jab on SoundCloud. This was calculated, strategic. He turned Paris Fashion Week into a battlefield. That's the level he's operating on. Meanwhile, Jim was still doing the rounds. Breakfast Club Rap Caviar. Drink champs dragging Pusha's name through the mud, claiming he's not even top 50. But while Jim played the podcast game, luxury fashion houses and music royalty watching from the front row. And here's the twist. It wasn't just about the bars. It was about the setting. Pharrell, the man who helped define the Clips sound, produced the track. A Virginia legend, now leading Louis Vuitton. They even showcased chains and whips reportedly made inside LV's Paris headquarters overlooking the Seine River, Farrell told the New York Times. This was made in this room. We just started. Walking around, looking out this window, and you see all of this? I mean, we're beating the system, bro. While Pusha was leveling up in Paris, Nas was building something just as powerful back home in Queens. And while Jim was chasing headlines on blogs, Nas was locking in Resorts World Queens a 350,000 square foot casino project backed by a $5 billion investment. This wasn't just another celebrity endorsement, it was ownership. Real money, real equity, real generational wealth being built for his borough.
It lives in the hands of the doers, the dreamers, the people who refuse to stand still. Resorts World is more than a casino. It's energy, it's opportunity, it's hope for the borough. A second chance for some, a first step for many. It's where community gathers, not just to win, but to build a future once imagined. This isn't just business, this is legacy. And now, it's time to invest in us.
Meanwhile, Jim Jones is out here bragging about Summer Jam slots. Like it's still 2008. Nas didn't even have to drop a single bar in response. He let the receipts speak for themselves. And honestly, those hits landed harder than any diss track ever. Fans picked up on it immediately. The comments under Nas's latest announcement were brutal. People were saying things like, the guy who can't stop talking is chasing clout, while Nas is out here making real boss moves. And that's the difference. When you're actually rich, actually respected, actually relevant, you don't need to clap back online. You let your life do the talking. Meanwhile, Jim couldn't even hold the stage. Let's paint the picture. Summer Jam ke-2024, the big moment. Jim had been chasing all year, but the second he stepped out, silence. Dead quiet. Crickets from the crowd. And then, it got even worse. Fung Master Flex, one of Jim's longest-running supporters, cut his set short. You could see it hit Jim, right there on stage. This was supposed to be his victory lap. The payoff for all that beef-stirring. But the hype didn't translate, because when it really counted, Jim didn't bring the hits, he brought drama. And the crowd wasn't here for that. But even with all that embarrassment, Jim still wasn't done. He had one more shot to fire. And this time, he made it personal. After that explosive Louis Vuitton moment, Pusha didn't say much in public, but the streets were talking, and the message was loud and clear. He wasn't finished. Insiders close to Clips began whispering that their upcoming reunion album, it's locked and loaded with razor-sharp bars aimed straight at Jim Paris track, that was just the warning shot. What's coming next? Word is, it gets way darker. Some folks in the industry are even calling it Pusha's Coke Bear moment, because he's leaning all the way into the villain role. No filters, no apologies, no holding back, and if Jim keeps running his mouth, it's looking like it might end in lyrical homicide. It's not just about the bars anymore, it's about the entire setup. Pusha is carefully aligning his comeback with elite spaces, high fashion, global stages, billion-dollar partnerships. Meanwhile, Jim's still rapping in Harlem alleyways. Over the same beat he just got bodied on. Yeah, you heard that right. Jim actually tried to flip the chains and whips beat and drop his own freestyle in response. But he didn't stop there. He went too far, crossing a line he shouldn't have touched. Because then, he threw shade at No Malice. And that's where things got extra messy. Sure, Pusha can handle the shots. He's built for that, but No Malice. A man who left the rap game to follow his faith, who turned his life around completely. That wasn't just a diss. That was flat-out disrespect. Pusha didn't clap back publicly, but if there's one thing we know about him, it's this. He doesn't react fast. He reacts smart, and when he does respond, it lands with force. But Jim, he couldn't help himself. And then he made his biggest mistake yet on camera. In an interview, he took another jab. This time at CLIPSE'S brand new single, AC Trumpets. One last wild swing, trying to play it off like it was all in fun. But even after that messy moment, Jim still couldn't read the room. Instead of falling back, he kept showing up on podcasts, running the same tired narrative that Pusha T and Nas were overrated, like he didn't just get embarrassed in front of the entire industry. Meanwhile, Pusha stayed silent. But that silence, it was loud. Every time Jim talked, it felt like he was digging the hole deeper. Fans started roasting him online, saying stuff like, "Bro is doing PR for Pusha for free." And every time Jim speaks, Pusha's album pre-orders go up. The internet wasn't letting him live it down, and here's what made it worse. Industry folks started stepping back. Quietly, subtly, but unmistakably. The same DJs and podcast hosts who used to hype Jim up, suddenly too busy to have him back on. Brands stopped calling. Summer shows didn't want the baggage. Jim thought he was starting a conversation, but he ended up starting his own cancellation. Meanwhile, Pusha was being spotted in meetings with major execs, locking in collabs with luxury brands, showing up at art shows with billionaires. It was chess in real time. He didn't even need another diss track. The optics alone had Jim looking like the neighborhood loudmouth who got left behind. And the craziest part, Nas never said a word, no tweets, no interviews, nothing, just more business deals, more sold-out shows, and more respect from everyone that mattered. He let the silence speak volumes.
Yes.
About Pusha T.
People don't like people, yeah, see? There we go. And then look what happens. But I'm ready for all things, man. Shouts to Pusha, shouts to that guy, shouts to the Clips. You know what I mean? Congratulations.
Do you like the new song?
No, but you know.
You don't like Ace Trumpets?
What's so great about it?
It's so good.
It's good.
It's so, oh man.
It's good.
So yeah, there's something going on that you ain't telling us about,
It's
bro.
good and what? A nostalgic value of it.
You don't think Ace Trumpets is hard?
I don't believe them. But that's a whole nother story. I don't want to downplay nobody's craft.
By the end of it all, Jim was out here talking to anyone who would still put a mic in front of him, trying to explain how he wasn't mad. While literally sounding mad, the energy had shifted permanently. What started as casual trash talk turned into a masterclass in knowing when to stay humble or risk losing everything. Jim tried to play it cool. He even said he doesn't listen to clips, but the fake chill was cracking with every sentence. You could hear it in his tone. The insecurity was dripping because deep down, he knew. He knew exactly who that track was about. And he knew they bodied him, without even breaking a sweat. And this is where everything flipped. It wasn't just Pusha T and Nas anymore. It felt like the entire culture was shutting the door on Jim. Blogs were roasting him non-stop. Even longtime Dipset fans started turning on him, telling him, "Pack it up, bro, it's done." This wasn't just another rap beef. It became a brutal reminder of why it matters to know your lane. Jim Jones walked into a heavyweight ring with Nas and Pusha T, thinking he had the bars to compete. Instead, he got folded, and neither of them even responded directly. Nas stayed silent, letting the business moves speak louder than any lyrics. Pusha played chess on global stages, and Jim ended up looking like he was beefing with himself. Now, he's not trending. He's not on the playlists. He's like a ghost in his own game. And here's the real kicker. The next Clips album hasn't even dropped yet. That might just be the final nail in the coffin. So if you thought this beef was wild already, just wait until you hear what's coming next. And if you're into the real stories, the drama, the music, wars, and everything happening behind the scenes, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more. Your support means everything. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for even more real talk next time.